Hi there, it's Michelle at Knitting on the Side, and today is Saturday, May the 23rd. It is Memorial Weekend here in the US, and we got a very nice weekend here, so it has been sunny and nice. I wanted to show you the things that I've been working on and the things that I have not been working on. I'm not sure if I showed you on my anchor tee that I have finished the rib portion and I am on to stockinette, and I am doing raglan increases because you have to do some increases between the arm and the body to make extra fabric there before you separate for sleeves. So I am on to that portion right there, and I am going to be doing a little bit quicker now since we are on to stockinette until you get to the bottom band on the bottom of the body and the bottom of the sleeves. You do a little bit of ribbing. Otherwise, everything else at this point is stockinette. So hopefully that'll go along pretty quick. I haven't worked on it much because I've been working on baby projects. So yeah, it's not gotten a lot of stuff done on it, but I have done a little bit. I went searching in my stash yarn to find a different project since I'm not doing the mixed rib cami, and I came across this Laguna from Tahiki Knits. It's 73% viscose, 27% linen. It's a very stringy kind of yarn. It doesn't have any stretch to it. It's very very unforgiving as far as like bounce back, like wool bounces back. This does not. So I thought that this would be nice for a little bag, and I found a pattern called Ruke Clutch Bag by Ruke Knit, and I found it on the Knit and Note website on their app. I'll try and stick a picture in to show you what it looks like, but it's just a little drawstring bag, and I thought this would be perfect for that. And that should use up pretty much all of that little ball. So that's going to be one old stash yarn project. And then I also found some wool. This is a wool silk mohair blend. It is Cascade Yarns Casablanca. I've got 5 balls of it, and that is 220 yards a piece. So I've got 1,100 yards total. Should be enough to make like a pullover, just a crew neck raglan pullover, something simple, because where it's got the color changes in it, I don't think it would be good for anything laced or anything textured. So I think just something plain, just plain simple raglan. So that's what I'm going to do with this yarn, and I think I might start this after I get done with that bag to use up old stash yarn. That yarn came to me from a lady in Florida that was doing a de-stash. She sent me a huge, huge box of yarn. It was probably at least 2 feet on each cubed, maybe 3. It was a big box of yarn. And I have made and donated tons of hats out of it and other projects. But that yarn, this Casablanca, is not washing machine friendly. And anything that I'm donating, I try and make it to where it can be thrown in the washer. Even if it can't be dried, I want it to be able to be thrown in the washer to be washed, because I don't think a lot of people want to take the time to hand wash things. So that yarn I'm going to use for myself, and I'll make other projects with some of my other yarn that is washing machine friendly, and I'll donate it instead and just keep that for myself. But that's where that came from. It was somebody else's stash that's now my stash that I've had for years and haven't done anything with. And it's discontinued yarn, so might as well get it used up. And then on my scrap yarn project, the hats with the fuzzy, shiny Diana yarn, it is still in the same condition as I showed you last time. I have not worked on this because it's not a priority. I've been working on baby projects. So that's not done yet. Hasn't gotten any progress. I also have not touched my frost slippers yet. The Colorwork slippers that I showed you last time, I don't have them with me, but I did go shopping and looked for some flip-flop soles. I could find ones that had decorated bottoms and they were like $10 a pair. I don't need them to be decorated because I'm going to just use the bottom for the bottom of my slippers. And then when I found the cheap ones, they're like $6 a pair, and I don't really want to pay $6 for flip flop soles. So I found these in my craft show stuff. They are ones that I had decorated in the past, and these never sold. So I am going to take the tops off of here and use these soles for my slippers. My slippers are kind of a burgundy color, white and brown, and these soles are black. I don't think it's really going to matter because you're only going to see just this little tiny edge, if anything, really. So I don't think it's a big deal to use a black sole on those slippers. But yeah, that's going to be the bottom of my frost slippers. I just found this today, so that's why that project's been stalled. Plus, I've been working on the baby knits. On my DK weight socks, I got my first one done up to about this portion, and then I decided I better get started on the second one so I could be close. In one day, I got this one to the same length as I was already had this one. So, and then I would just do a couple rows on one, a couple rows on the other, and do them at the same rate so they'd come out the same height. When I thought that I was only going to have about 5 or 6 rounds left, I switched to 1x1 ribbing because I was thinking that an Italian bind off might be stretchy enough to do for the top. So I got the first Italian bind off done. Looked pretty neat. Put it on my foot, did not fit. So I have a little extra yarn in there. I kept pulling yarn back in till I could get it to go up over my foot, and then I wove in the ends and bound it off. But I need to distribute this extra yarn throughout the top so that it'll be even around and not look nicer on one side and sloppy as heck on the other. But it fits over my heel now, which is important if it's going to be a sock. On the second one, I made sure I held it big enough as I did the bind off so that I wouldn't have my yarn all bunched up on one side. So it doesn't look very good when it's just sitting there like that. But it's all right, it fits. So, and this one will look a little bit better after I get it where it's even all the way around, kind of like that one is. But they're bed socks. It doesn't matter. But this is my first toe up Fleegle Hill DK weight socks. Normally when I do socks, I do them top down, and I start with a knitted on cast on because it seems to be plenty stretchy enough for socks. And I still have the spare over here, but they look a little neater, in my opinion, than trying to do any kind of a bind off that you would do when you do toe up. The stretchy bind offs don't look nearly as neat, in my opinion, as what the stretchy cast ons do. So now that I know how much sock I can get out of a 50-gram ball of DK weight sock yarn, I will probably never ever knit toe up again. I don't like doing the toe up. I don't like the magic loop on the toe when you first start. I think it's fiddly trying to do that with the big long needles, and you have to move everything back and forth every time. I like doing them top down and finishing off with double points on the toe. I think it's a lot easier in my opinion. And I know some people like to do 2 at a time, toe up, with Magic Loop. So they've got both socks going at the same time. Each sock has its own ball of yarn, and then they're dealing with big old long needles. That's not for me. That is not for me. But when you're making socks, there's so many different ways to do it. If you don't like the way that you tried it the first time, try it a different way. There's a way that's going to work for you. If you don't like little tiny fingering weight socks, try DK. If you don't like DK, try a bulky weight. You can make bigger socks, they're just not going to fit in your shoes the same way. But if you want them for wearing around the house, make big socks. That one is Drops Fiesta Long Print in color number 19. And this is everything that I had left. It's just a couple little grams. That's like leftover from one ball. And then these like tails. There's really not hardly anything left. I used up most of it. If I was going to make another pair of the DK weight socks, I know now how long I can get out of a 50-gram ball of sock yarn. So if I wanted them taller, I would just buy 3 balls and make them taller and do from the top down. That's those. I have also, since when I finished those, I went stash diving and looking for other sock yarn, and I found one skein of this Panda Superwash from Crystal Palace Yarns. I'm not sure what the color number is. I couldn't find the ball right before I came on. But I had a full 50-gram skein of it. I ended up winding it up into a little ball because it was a little sloppy, but I made a pair of baby socks. And these should fit about 6 to 9 months. I started with the pattern, excuse me. So I made a pair of baby socks. I started with a pattern, and I used it to figure out how many stitches to cast on for about the size I wanted to make. But I really didn't like the way that they did their heel. So I just did my own thing on the heel. And then I kind of used the pattern's guidance for how long to make the foot before you do the toe. But I made mine just a tiny bit longer. The baby's dad's pretty tall. Baby will probably have pretty good sized feet. So, and plus, you can wear them when they're a little bit too long. But once they start getting too short, you don't want to like bunch the baby's toes up in it. So you get a little more wear out of them if they're just a little bit longer. So yeah, I made a pair of these, and these used 26.5 grams of yarn. So I have 23.5 grams left. So I think I'm going to use this and make a newborn size pair with the same yarn just to use up this ball. If I have anything left after making the newborn size socks, then I will just like use it for a hexapuff or something. If there's enough. There may not be enough. I may not be able to get anything else but a newborn pair of socks out of it, but that is my plan with that yarn. So that is all the things that I have been working on and not working on and planning to work on, and that gets you caught up. So I hope you guys all have a great Memorial weekend, and thank you for watching. Bye.